by reciting the Mangalacharana as usual. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Uttapanam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagjaratam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sarvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakamitascha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radha Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanushite Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanchakalpatarivascha Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shri Ati Bhakti Dhiranam Damodareti Namini Yati Shri Bhakti Tirtasya Kalamurtane Sarvada
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, you are muted. Sorry about that.
It's okay, thank you. All right. Hare Krishna. So please allow me to share my screen. I'll just recap what we discussed in our last session. In our last session, we were covering Bhagavad Gita, Canto 3, Chapter 3, Text 5. And in that text, it was being described how Krishna went and fought with Lord Indra and brought back to Dwarka the Parijata tree upon the request of his consort Satyabhama. And in the purport, there were many points, and we discussed how Lord Indra was bewildered, or rather, he was ungrateful because Satyabhama and Lord Krishna had gone to the heavenly planet to return the earrings to his dear mother, which had been stolen by a demon. Now, upon the return of the earrings, Lord Indra was very humble and was speaking sweet words and offered his obeisances to Lord Krishna. And it is explained that after all this, when Krishna took the Parijata tree, Lord Indra forgot about all this good that had been done for him and was now ready to fight with Krishna upon the incitation of his wives. And the word that Srila Prabhupada used in that verse is henpecked, which means that someone who is basically dominated by his wife and always criticized. So Srila Prabhupada was explaining that this is the situation of overly materialistic men, is that they are selfish. Because as soon as Krishna satisfied his needs and returned the earrings, then Krishna now became just a regular person and he forgot that actually everything belongs to Krishna. Therefore, he was ready to fight Krishna for the Parijata tree. Then we focused on the topic of Krishna's reciprocation. We discussed that actually Krishna is always reciprocating. And we looked at the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna was explaining that as we surrender, so he awards us or rewards us. So, and we also looked at different pictures of different devotees who are reciprocating with Krishna. So let me open it. So, anyways, we had discussed different types of devotees reciprocating with Krishna. And in my slide, I had shown a slide of the lady who gave Krishna her fruits. Okay.
It was Sudama, lady who gave fruits, and Dhruv Maharaj.
Yes, yes. Thank you. I'm just trying to share my screen now so that I can show it. Um, okay. Is it visible now?
Not yet, Prabhuji. Your screen is not visible. But
Okay. Now?
yes, 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 Prabhuji. Now visible.
Okay. Thank you. So, yeah, like you had already correctly mentioned, we were talking about the reciprocation of Krishna. And we discussed how, out of all of these, the odd one out seemingly is Dhruva Maharaj, because Dhruva Maharaj had some motive. He wanted something material that he wanted in return for whatever austerities and whatever process he was following. But I remember mentioning clearly that the process is so powerful that even with our alloyed devotional service, even with our mixed devotional service, simply by strictly following the instructions of the spiritual master, like Dhruva Maharaj did, he followed the instructions of Narad Muni to the letter. Then he was able to see Krishna. Krishna himself appeared before him and he was offering his prayers to Krishna and saying that he desired so much, but upon seeing him, all these desires have become null and they're just like broken pieces of glass. So, this is an encouragement to us that yes, we may not be practicing unalloyed devotional service, but by following the instructions of the spiritual master, all of these desires will be purified and we will become one with Krishna. The oneness of a devotee and Krishna is oneness in desire, in that I do not desire anything which is separate from Krishna. Then I can't remember what was the last slide that I presented before the meeting.
Prabhuji, we were looking at Krishna's queens and why they were devotees, why they exalted qualities. Yeah, this
Okay,
was the last slide.
okay, thank you. So, because we were speaking about Satyabhama, and I was intrigued that this is Krishna who is going into a fight with the king of heaven simply to please his wife. But Srila Prabhupada clarifies that Krishna was reciprocating with the service of his pure devotees. So these queens of Dwarka were actually very elevated souls, and after doing my research, I could see that they had some common characteristics, and these are the characteristics that I've noted here. And I explained that renouncing all material association allows us to have space for Krishna. It allows us to be able to hear his voice because Krishna, as the Paramatma, is always speaking with us. He is the eternal friend of everyone. But when the sense gratification is too high, then we do not have interest and we cannot hear his guidance from within. And secondly was practicing austere penances. Now, all of them, either in the present or in the previous lives, really practiced great austerities in order to be able to reciprocate with Krishna on that level of a lover. So, the understanding is that austerities are performed in order to achieve something that is out of the ordinary, something that is extremely valuable. Even in material life, we understand that those people who emerge very successful, or those organizations which become global and multinationals, in the beginning, there was a lot of austerities which were done. Look at the life of Srila Prabhupada. Simply from his journey from India to America, there were so many austerities which he had to endure. They were voluntary. He did not have to go through all of that. But because he wanted to do an extraordinary service to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he endured them. Furthermore, austerity is one of the pillars of religion. Therefore, it is compulsory for anyone who is interested in progressive Krishna consciousness. And we move to constant meditation on Krishna. When I was reading the stories of the queens, it is always mentioned after a few paragraphs how they were always meditating on Krishna's lotus feet, and therefore they were fully Krishna conscious. Someone who is always meditating on the object of the senses or the object of their service, you can understand this person is in samadhi, or this person has great feelings for whoever they are meditating upon. So this is the quality, or this is what attracts Krishna. Those people who are not just mechanically serving, but are also meditating on Him. That's why Krishna says, "Give your mind." He doesn't just say that he just wants, the prasad that you're cooking or the service. He says you have to offer your mind to Him. This is what pleases Him. Remember, we had discussed earlier in the upper slides that for us to properly reciprocate with Krishna, we have to give him what he wants. So we should be sensitive to what Krishna desires in our life and attempt to do it to the best of our ability. And finally, they won Krishna with their love. So this is an example here, the pastime of Rukmini fanning Krishna. And Krishna started to speak sarcastically. He was speaking some jokes and saying how she might have made the wrong decision marrying him because his followers are all poor people, and even himself, he might not be opulent, and how he has a bad name because he does not seemingly follow the religious codes of conduct. Because Krishna was a very radical personality, those people who did not understand he was the personality of Godhead would see so many faults with him. So when Rukmini heard Krishna talking like this, she became extremely agitated and extremely disturbed in mind, so much so that she fell to the ground. Her hair was scattered all over her face. She was holding the ground and scratching the floor and crying profusely because she could not bear the thought of being separated from Krishna. In this state, she fainted. Now, Krishna was only joking, and he was doing this because he wanted her to exhibit her anger. Because previously, Satyabhama had been exhibiting this anger of jealousy because she wanted a parijata flower, which she had seen Rukmini being given by Narad Muni. So now Krishna was testing Rukmini, and also Srila Prabhupada was explaining in the purports that it is normal for householders to joke amongst each other. Actually, it is one of the highest pleasures that they enjoy, joking with each other. So Krishna was joking with Rukmini in a sarcastic kind of way, but she took it seriously, and it greatly disturbed her heart. So when she fainted, Krishna took pity upon her and manifested his other hands, as you can see in the picture here. He manifested his other hands and he took hold of her and was caressing her cheek and just basically calming her down and explaining to her what was the situation. And then Rukmini went on to glorify Krishna's qualities in in protest of whatever he was saying about himself. So, okay, yeah, so those are the qualities of the queens of Dwarka that basically allowed them to reciprocate with Krishna by love. Reciprocation means love. There's no question of saying that we love someone or someone loves us if there is no exchange, if there is no reciprocation. So, therefore, we have a pastime, a very interesting pastime here, which depicts that Krishna being moved. So, Narad Muni is very expert. He wanted to help Satyabhama overcome her pride. It is explained that Satyabhama was a little bit proud of her royal heritage, of her beauty, and of her opulence. Therefore, Narad Muni came to her and said, Satyabhama, did you know people are saying that Rukmini loves Krishna more than you? Can you believe that? You have to do something to prove that you love Krishna more or just as much. So Satyabhama's attention was caught. So now Narad Muni brought about a very interesting type of arrangement. He told her, this is what you must do to prove your love. You have to go and ask Krishna, as you can see here. This is a beam balance. Tell Krishna to sit on one side, and on the other side, you're going to put all of your wealth and show how much you care for Krishna. As you can see here, Satyabhama had so much jewelry. We have a whole heap here. We have a treasure box lying here down. And what happened is, she took off all her ornaments, she put them on the other side. Not even an inch did Krishna move more of her jewelry, more of her ornaments. She put them there, not moving an inch. And let's remember that this is not Kali Yuga. This is a time when they had access to very precious metals and precious jewels. This is a time when they had access to very precious metals and precious jewels that we've never seen. So you can understand that this is very important. So guess what? She had to swallow her pride. If Krishna did not move, she would have to give Krishna to Narad Muni. And if Krishna moved, then Krishna can remain with them. So you can see also from this that actually Krishna is owned by his devotees. So in wife, Rukmini, and she told Rukmini, please help me here. I made a deal with Narad Muni, and if Krishna is not moved, then we are going to lose him. Please help me. So Rukmini, being non-envious, she simply went and plucked one tulsi leaf, not five, not 10, only one tulsi leaf, as you can see here on this beam balance. She plucked the tulsi leaf and with love she offered it and put it on the beam balance, and immediately Krishna was lifted. Krishna was lifted by her pure devotion. Krishna was lifted by the sincere offering. You remember we read in Bhagavad Gita that Krishna has mentioned what he wants. He accepts water, a fruit, a flower, a leaf, but the active ingredient is offered with love. So from this pastime, we can understand that it is not opulence which attracts Krishna. We may give away a lot of our wealth. We may do a lot of services with a lot of opulence or with the best love, devoid of feelings, devoid of sincerely trying to please Krishna. Then that does not attract him because he has everything. He has the most skilled people serving him. The only thing which we can actually offer Krishna is our love. So, this was the end of the slideshow. By faithful practice and surrender, we will all eventually undoubtedly serve Krishna in pure love. So I think now we can open it up for questions and discussions since we've not had the chance to discuss much in our other sessions due to the length of the slides. So I'll open it up and send it back to you now.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you so much for this presentation and taking us into the nectarian householders' fights and how that rasa was also enjoyed by Krishna. Prabhuji, we had questions about austerities. So, I mean, all the queens of Dwarka was always in association with Krishna, and maybe we can say that it was easier for them because he was their Swami. But for us, what are the austerities besides the chanting of 16 rounds? What are the other austerities we can do to please Krishna?
Okay, sorry. So my network is a bit unstable. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhuji, we can hear you.
Sorry, my network was a bit unstable. Please repeat the question.
The question was on austerities, Prabhuji. In our state, what austerity should we be doing so that we can please Krishna?
Okay, all right. So I remember you had mentioned that yesterday. So I had prepared, or rather, I looked into a few verses in the Bhagavad Gita which talk about austerity. So the first one is here. Okay, this is just like a text, it doesn't have a purport. So I'll just read it out. That these threefold austerity performed with transcendental faith by men, not expecting material benefits, but engaged only for the sake of the Supreme, is called austerity in the mode of goodness. So the first thing is to understand that why are we doing this austerity and in what mode it should be done or what mood it should be done. So therefore, this austerity is not being done for anything material. That is in the mode of passion. The austerity is being done purely to try and attract the mercy of Krishna, which will help us to move forward in our bhakti. Now we can go to the next verse, which is talking about the three types of austerity. So the first one is the austerity of the body. This is Bhagavad Gita, chapter 17, text 14. The translation reads, austerity of the body consists in worship of the Supreme Lord, the Brahmanas, the spiritual master, and the superiors like the father and mother, and in cleanliness, simplicity, celibacy, and non-violence. The Supreme Godhead here explains the Supreme Godhead here explains the different kinds of austerity and penance. First, he explains the austerities and the penances practiced by the body. One should or to the demigods, the perfect qualified brahmanas and the spiritual master, and superiors like father, mother, or any person who is conversant with Vedic knowledge. These should be given proper respect. One should practice cleansing oneself externally and internally, and he should learn to become simple in behavior. He should not do anything which is not sanctioned by the scriptural injunctions. Married life, For sex is sanctioned in the scripture only in marriage, not otherwise. This is called celibacy. These are penances and austerities as far as the body is concerned. That's the first type. And then we can go to the second one, which is Bhagavad Gita, chapter 17, text 15. Austerity of speech consists in speaking words that are truthful, pleasing, beneficial, and not agitating to others, and also in regularly reciting Vedic literature. One should not speak in such a way as to agitate the minds of others. Of course, when a teacher speaks, he can speak the truth for the instruction of his students. But such a teacher should not speak to those who are not his students, if he will agitate their minds. This is penance as far as talking is concerned. Besides, that one should not talk nonsense. The process of speaking in spiritual circles is to say something upheld by the scriptures. One should at once. At the same time, such talk should be very pleasurable to the ear. By such discussions, one may derive the highest benefit and elevate human society. There is a limitless stock of Vedic literature, and one should study this. This is called penance of speech. Now we can move to the final one, which is the mind. All right. And satisfaction, simplicity, gravity, self control, and purification of one's existence are austerities of the mind. To make the mind austere is to detach it from sense gratification. It should be so trained that it can be always thinking of doing good for others. The best training for the mind is gravity in thought. One should not deviate from Krishna consciousness and must always avoid sense gratification. To purify one's nature is to become Krishna conscious. Satisfaction of the mind can be obtained only by taking the mind away from thoughts of sense enjoyment. The more we think of sense enjoyment, the more the mind becomes dissatisfied. In the present age, we unnecessarily engage the mind in so there is no possibility of the mind's becoming satisfied. The best course is to divert the mind to the Vedic literature, which is full of satisfying stories, as in the Puranas and the Mahabharata. One can take advantage of this knowledge and thus become purified. The mind should be devoid of duplicity, and one should think of the welfare of all. Silence means that one is always thinking of self realization. The person in Krishna consciousness observes perfect silence in this sense. Control of the mind means detaching the mind from sense enjoyment. One should be straightforward in his dealings and thereby purify his existence, all in menial activities. So, there we've gotten straight from Krishna the different types of austerities which can be performed. Firstly, he was explaining about austerity of the body. And the austerity of the body firstly begins with offering respects, paying obeisances to Krishna and to his devotees. Actually, I remember once one of the devotees is explaining how during Srila Prabhupada's time, anytime they saw him, they paid obeisances. It doesn't matter how many times they saw him. So he actually explained that one of his disciples was serving him prasad, and the disciple had to keep going in and coming out of the room. So he came to the room, and when he enters the room, he gives Srila Prabhupada the item, he offers obeisances, and then leaves. So he did this severally, and at some point in his mind, he was thinking, like, I've come here so many times, so why isn't Srila Prabhupada stopping me from paying these obeisances? Srila Prabhupada, every time he's offering his obeisances, Srila Prabhupada is not saying anything. So the disciple in his mind is thinking, I'm coming here many times. Why is he not speaking? Later on, the disciple explained that he read in the scriptures saying, anytime you offer obeisances to the spiritual masters, your sins are cleansed. So Srila Prabhupada was training them in this way that it doesn't matter how many times you see him, if you offer obeisances, it is for your own. And then is austerity of celibacy.
Hare Krishna. I think we've lost Prabhuji, but he will come back. He usually, because it's raining in Nakuru where he is, his internet is playing up. But he was reminding us of the austerities of the body and paying obeisances to our spiritual master or devotees of Krishna. No matter how many times you have to do it, it is important that we pay obeisances because it is one way of clarifying our sins.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Sorry, it's begun to rain here, so the network is more unstable.
Yeah. Prabhuji,
So
if
I
you
was
want, you
explaining.
can switch off your video and then you won't have the problem. If you
Okay,
switch off
yes.
the video, then the rain is not doesn't affect the audio. At
Okay,
least I've experienced that. Let us
okay,
try and see.
okay. So what I was explaining is about the austerity of celibacy, and actually the importance of celibacy can be seen if one is careful to observe that actually the first ashram, the main emphasis begins on celibacy. So as a student, they have to be celibate, and a lot of power can be derived from celibacy. Actually, it is explained in the Bhagavad Gita that one can get great determination simply by being celibate. So we all know that a devotional service is very difficult because we're trying to attain the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, it requires an equal amount of determination. Now we move to the austerity of speech, which was actually very interesting, where Srila Prabhupada is explaining how one should speak the Vedic literature, that it should be pleasing to the ear. One should speak truthfully and should speak for the benefit of others. And furthermore, he also explains that one should not give advice, one should not instruct someone who is not his student. Or, in other words, if there is no relationship, one should not instruct whoever they may be thinking of instructing. It is also explained that one should use their tongue in reciting the Vedic literature. This is austerity of speech, avoiding prajalpa. Then, lastly, it is explained the austerity of the mind, which basically means to deviate the mind away from sense gratification and dovetail it more into thinking about Krishna and how to serve him better. So these are direct examples and the categories of austerities explained in the Bhagavad Gita. And we also have days which require austerity, which have been demarcated for us, like Ekadashi and Janmashtami, where there is fasting. So fasting helps one to have a more enriched devotional service. If anyone has tried it before, you can see it clearly. During these potent days like Janmashtami, during these days like Ekadashi, if one actually puts their sincere effort into fasting, then they will be able to see the transcendental qualities of that austerity. And this austerity is not just done for the sake, like for example, during Ekadashi, when we are fasting, that extra time is supposed to be used in Krishna conscious activities. So by fasting, we have more time. So that means more japa. It means more hearing. It means more kirtan. It's not just about negating the activities of the senses. So anyone who is interested in achieving something that is extraordinary, anyone who is interested in relishing the mellows, in getting the treasure, the real treasure, has to practice austerity. And this can be seen from all our acharyas. Yeah. Does that answer the question?
Yes, Prabhuji, that answered the question. Then there was another question about bread, Prabhuji. You had mentioned that
Yes.
uh, we should just be eating prasadam. But there are times when we cannot help that. And a lot of devotees are still eating bread because they have to and there is no other means. So in those circumstances, can they dovetail it to Krishna? And or what were your suggestions, Prabhuji?
Okay, sorry, please repeat that. I had only the end.
Prabhuji, you mentioned not to eat bread or things that are made outside because it's important that you eat Krishna Prasad
Yeah.
that is made at home by devotees. But in some
Yes.
circumstances, it is not possible.
All right. Okay. So, please share some of the circumstances, like for example.
Prabhuji, if you are traveling and if you have no access to a kitchen, then and you cannot
Mm.
carry your food, then you have to
Yeah.
eat whatever is
Okay.
there.
What is available? Okay, I see. I see that that can be a bit difficult, especially in the beginning. So, in such a situation, if one can get access to these three things, then they're safer off, because we understand the science is that anytime there is a flame involved, anytime there's preparation, anytime there's cooking being done, the consciousness of the cook is going into that food. And therefore, what happens is whenever we offer Krishna something, yes, he'll accept it because we're offering, but he's going to multiply whatever we're offering and give it back to us. So, eh, understanding this, a devotee can take advantage of fruits, nuts, and milk, and these can be honored, can be offered in according to whatever situation you're in. Maybe you can do it in your mind, or you can use a picture. Better if you can use a picture. But a devotee also makes plans. So most of the times we don't just find ourselves in traveling. These travels are actually scheduled, we have an itinerary. So, similarly, we should organize ourselves in such a way that we can protect our consciousness, because that is what we're trying to do. We're trying to maintain at least the mode of goodness. So, therefore, we have dry fruits which are very high in calories that can provide a lot of energy. Now, it depends also on someone's health condition, because this is more austere. Now, you see, it brings again the concept of austerity, that only eating prasad in itself is already an austerity, because now you see, when you're in certain situations, you understand that, okay, right now I don't have immediate access to prasad, but Krishna, I know this is what is best for me. So please help me stick to this. So somehow or rather, in Krishna consciousness, austerity cannot be avoided if one is serious in advancement. But in the beginning, if one is finding it very difficult, the best thing I would say is try and make arrangements on how you can have food which you can carry easily. You might not be able to carry sabji and roti with you when you're traveling, but you can carry high energy foods, and you can have access to yogurt, you can have access to milk preparations, and in this way you can kind of keep yourself together before you get access to somewhere where you can cook. And also these days we have access to Airbnbs where you have facility to cook. You don't necessarily have to stay in a hotel where you can only order cooked food. So there are so many varieties which are there, and one can ask Krishna for help, and one can do some research, and Krishna gives intelligence. So don't be discouraged. It is very possible. It is not unachievable.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Prabhuji, there is something on the chat by Anandavardhana Prabhuji.
Yes, this is from the Nectar of Instruction.
On austerities. A is association of devotees. B is read books and attend the Bhagavatam classes. C is chant. D is diet. And E is engage in devotional service. The four regulatory principles, fasting during Ekadashi, and also from the first verse of Nectar of Instruction.
Okay.
Maybe I can read the translation. Once devotional service is spoilt when he becomes too entangled in following six activities, eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required, over endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain, talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters, practicing the spiritual rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement, or rejecting the rules of regulation of the scriptures and working independently or whimsically, associating with worldly minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness, and six, being greedy for mundane achievement. Hare Krishna, over to you, Prabhuji.
Okay. So, is there a question in connection to this verse?
I don't think there was a question, but Prabhuji was giving his contribution. But we can
Hare
open it
Krishna.
up. we can open it up to other questions. Are there any other questions? Thank you very much, Anandavardhana Prabhuji, for your contribution towards
Oh, okay.
austerities.
All right. I see.
Are there any questions or comments from the group? Prabhuji, there are no more questions or comments.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Yes, Indulika Mataji, Dandavat
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, thank you so much for this nice class. As usual, I have been following some of your classes. I see you go to do a lot of research and then you explain nicely. And yes, we can try to go closer to Krishna. We are trying actually, all of us, by even spending this 1 hour on the Zoom platform. It's a lot because we are not thinking about other things except for Krishna, because we are talking about his pastime, right? But in Kali Yuga, it's very, very difficult. That's why the Harinam is given, the Maha Mantra.
Yes.
But then those 16,000
Yes.
wives of Krishna, who were they? Those 16 wives of Krishna, 16,000 wives of Krishna, they were princesses who were serving Ashtavakra Muni. Ashtavakra Muni, Ashta means 8. He has 8 bands over his body, whole body, because his body was crooked, right? So he was a very, very great saint. So these princesses, they were serving him. But then he couldn't walk straight. He was walking sideways, like crabs walk. But these princesses, they were serving him so diligently that he was very, very happy. He said, you will get the Supreme Lord as your husband. All of them were so happy. But then one day, they couldn't check their laughing because the way he was walking. And then he got very, very angry and he cursed them. He said, I already blessed you to have the Supreme Lord as your husband, but I am cursing you now that you will be taken away by demons. So you will be abducted by demons. So that's what happened. These 16,000 princesses, they were taken by Bhaumasura. And then Krishna had to go and liberate them, and then he got married to them. And then again, when Krishna left this material world, Arjuna went to Dwarka, and he was bringing those wives with him to Hastinapur. Again, Arjuna was defeated, and these princesses again they vanished. It was supposed like the people who defeated Arjuna took them away, but no, nobody touched them. They just vanished. They just went to Goloka without anybody seeing them. So this is the story of the princesses. And you were talking about the fruit seller. The fruit seller, who was she? Fruit seller was in the story of Ramayana. She was Sabri, the one who gave the Lord the berries to eat. So when she went to sell her fruits, so-called selling fruits, then Krishna came out, and first thing Krishna told her, "Hey Sabri, what are you doing here?" And then Krishna said, Sabri said, "What are you doing here? Where you are, I'm there." Then Krishna said, "No, you left me when I was visiting you. You went to your guru's ashram, because when Lord Ram was there, Sabri just left the body and went, and she said she was going to her guru. Now Krishna is saying, you left me to go to your guru." Then Sabri said, sometimes it's good to leave guru to go to the Lord. Sometimes it's good to leave Lord to go to the guru, because through the guru we get the Lord. That is another pastime of Sabri. But very, very nice, Prabhuji, if you have to go deep in every, like even the story of Satyabhama putting Krishna on the scale. This was a plan devised by Narad Muni. Narad Muni said she was very upset when she heard that, oh, how come Rukmini loves you more? So I have to devise a plan that Krishna is attracted more to me. Then Narad Muni said, okay, you have to do a yagna, a fire sacrifice. And then when you do the fire sacrifice, then we will see what happens. After fire sacrifice, Krishna says, now I have conducted, not Krishna. Narad Muni said, I have conducted fire sacrifice for you. You have to give me a dakshina. Like you have to give me remuneration, like I have done something for you, otherwise it won't work. Then Satyabhama asks, what do you want? He says, you have an option. Either you give me the amount of gold that is of same weight of Krishna's body, or you give me Krishna if you cannot give that. That's how Satyabhama put Krishna on the scale. That's how she did it. But we know Narad Muni, he's very tricky. And he knew that if it happened, Krishna will be staying there and Satyabhama will not learn a lesson. So he did something that Krishna wouldn't move, wouldn't budge on the scale. Until, just to break her pride, as you say, she had to call her co-sister, like Rukmini. Yes, thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you. I'm amazed, all you devotees. You keep bringing so nice stories and so nice pastime, and so you dive deep in the theological aspect, in the spiritual aspect, in the philosophical aspect, in all three aspects. You dive deep down in the shastras, and then you dig all these gems like pastimes, and then you bring them to this group. So happy for all of you. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Indulekha Mataji, for your encouragement and all your additions. Any other questions or comments from other devotees? I know we have 5 more minutes left before we can end the class. If there are no more questions or comments, Gayatri Mataji, are you able to end the session for today? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Sure, Mataji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for wonderful session as always. Thank you, Indulekha Mataji, also for always giving lots of inputs and beautiful. Thank you, thank you. Can everybody please unmute and chant one time Maha Mantra, please? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrind ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All assembled devotees, thank you. And Samadarshi Prabhuji ki jai. Thank you so much.
Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Thank you. Thank you. Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Hare. Thank you very much, Ananda Vardhana Prabhuji, for joining in. And also we had Ramananda Prabhu as well. I think he has left, but thank you, new devotees, for joining in. Not new devotees, but rejoining the group again. Hare Krishna.